You're talking to Grammie.
All right.
Okay, so it started. So it's recording right now, okay? Okay, bye. Just don't, and then when you're done.
Give me the book, please.
Okay, when you're done, just click on that button right there, okay?
All right. All right, Grammie.
Okay, I'm ready. I've been writing down some things that I was thinking about, but you asked me your questions.
All right. These are questions. I know that you live in the you lived during the 1960s, correct?
Correct.
Yes. So this is some interview questions I have for my history assignment, and I just want you to answer them.
I'm ready.
Okay. First things first. What is your full name, age, and address?
Okay. Claudia C.L. That's my first name. C.L.A.U.D.I.A.
Got it. Claudia.
Jeannie. J.E.A.N.N.E. Now, do you need my maiden name? That was the name I had. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. B.
Bergie.
Yeah. B-U-R-G-I-E.
Okay.
Then Thorne.
How old are you?
I'm 69.
And your address?
59 West. 215 North.
215 North.
Blackfoot, Idaho.
Blackfoot, Idaho.
Hey, buddy, remember you can go faster and then listen to it again, okay?
Yes, Blackfoot, Idaho.
83221.
83221. 83221. Okay. Where did you live in the 1960s decade?
I mostly lived at home with my parents. I graduated from high school in 1966.
Okay.
And I went to school in Salt Lake City. Lived there for a while. Lived in Logan, Utah for a while. Probably lived away from home for probably 2 years.
Okay. Were you a student at that time? And if so, where were you at?
Okay, I went to, it was called the Salt Lake College of Medical and Dental Assistance. That was in Salt Lake City. It was a technical school. A technical college. Taught us how to be a dental assistant.
If you worked during the during the decade, where did you work and what jobs did you do?
Okay, my first job was in West Yellowstone. And I worked at an A&W. I was a car hop.
First job was in Yellowstone?
Yeah, West Yellowstone, the city of West Yellowstone.
Okay.
And I worked in a donut shop. It was like a little restaurant.
Donut shop.
A donut shop. Pardon?
Donut shop. Nice.
and I worked in a laundromat.
Laundromat?
Yeah, laundromat. It was a place that did dry cleaning and that kind of stuff.
I see.
I was earning money to go to the technical school.
Okay. Did you experience any 1960s counterculture, hippies, or element directly?
Well, I grew up in Idaho Falls, and of course,
Okay.
there was only like maybe 25,000 people. And so some kids did get involved with drugs,
Okay.
but mostly it was the college kids. That kids went off to school and then came back home, back to Idaho Falls. So I didn't really get involved with any of that kind of stuff.
So how many people did you say there were? You said there were like...
Oh, there was maybe 25 to 30,000 people that lived in Idaho Falls. See, there's almost twice that many now. But there really wasn't much drug use. There was kids. We just really, kind of were isolated from the hippie culture.
Okay. Did you have any experience and also did you have any impressions and experiences there?
In high school?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. When you lived in the 1960s, did you have any experiences there?
I saw the Beatles on TV.
Saw the what? The Beatles?
The Beatles. That was a singing group. They were really popular then. A lot of the kids I knew went to Vietnam, the Vietnam War. My brother went to Vietnam.
Your brother went to be a what?
My brother went to Vietnam.
Oh,
Vietnam, Vietnam. He was in the war.
I see. Nice. Now, how prevalent was drug culture from the 1960s from your recollections of the period?
Well, there really wasn't much in my high school. I mean, it really hadn't gotten up to Idaho. We saw a lot of it on TV. Saw a lot of stuff going on, but there really wasn't much in Idaho Falls.
Okay.
The kids there were more involved in drinking than drugs.
I see.
That's how they rebelled, was more with drinking than there just wasn't the drugs. I don't know. I mean, there might have been. I didn't get involved in that, so there might have been a lot of drugs.
Did you say some of the students at your high school, did they get involved in drinking?
Yeah. Yes. But the kids I've hung around with didn't do that kind of stuff. So that makes kind of a difference in whether you're involved in it. Somebody else might have really been involved in that because their friends did that kind of thing, but mine didn't.
Okay. Based on your recollections, were young people in the 1960s struggling for some new kind of identity or world order? Do you know why?
I think maybe some of them were. Some of them were trying to decide whether or not to go to college, whether they needed to go to college back then. I had a couple of friends who graduated early from high school and went on to college.
Mm.
But most of my friends did go on to college. Not all of them, but most of them. And that was something brand new for girls. I mean, girls weren't going to college that much till the 60s.
I see. Did some of your people there, do they still like decide, like, do I want to go on a mission? Do I want to serve the war? Do I want to do any of that stuff? Or
Yeah, there was a big decision about whether or not, because if you joined the army, you knew you were going to end up in Vietnam. So a lot of guys, including my brother, joined what was called the 116th, the National Guard unit, and they got sent to Vietnam anyway because they were an engineering unit. They built roads, they built bridges, that kind of thing. So a lot of them joined the National Guard to not go to Vietnam, but they ended up going anyway.
okay. In the 1960s, did you have any awareness of the current events of the Vietnam War?
Well, yeah, there was the Cold War.
No, the VIET.
Oh, that's the Vietnam War. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the war my brother went to. Yeah, there was a lot of controversy about that war. Because they'd call the soldiers that came back, they called them names, called them baby killers, and they were just doing what they were ordered to do. So a lot of people, there was a lot of demonstrations, but most of those demonstrations happened in big cities.
I see.
Just like now, like New York and places in California. California is where a lot of stuff happened.
Mhm. Okay. So, did you have an awareness of the civil rights movement of the 1960s? What were your impressions of the civil rights movement and its leaders and tactics?
Yes, I remember when Martin Luther King was assassinated,
Okay.
and that was on the news. I remember when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. I was in high school when that happened.
Wait a minute, Johnny Kennedy, as in the J.F.
President
Kennedy.
President Kennedy, I
Yeah.
was in high school when that happened.
Hmm. I see. So, what was the state of race relations where
Well,
you
see,
lived
now
during that
that's
time?
another thing.
Ah,
The only different race we had in Idaho Falls was we had a lot of Japanese people, Japanese Americans, and that. So there was a lot of Japanese people. There was one black boy that was in my high school, and everybody liked him. He was a nice kid. I don't there wasn't really a race problem in my high school. Because there just wasn't enough kids, I guess, to make it a problem. Everybody treated each other pretty fairly, I guess, pretty nice. They didn't, I don't know. There just wasn't the race issue that you hear about now.
hmm. What are your memories of the presidents of the 1960s, including Kennedy, LBJ, and Nixon?
Okay, I remember. I remember all three of those presidents. I remember I didn't like LBJ. I didn't like how he treated people. Nixon, I remember him. I remember the day President Kennedy was shot. They let school out. We stayed home and watched all the news things on TV. They didn't have school. I saw the funeral.
On the day President Kennedy was assassinated.
Okay, the day President Kennedy was assassinated, I was in the library at my school, and a friend of mine came in, and she was crying and crying, and she said, "They've shot the president. They've shot the president." And we were in the library, and I remember looking out the window, and I says, "No, he can't be dead, because look, the flag is still up." And as we sat and looked at the flag, they lowered it to half staff. And that's when we knew for sure that President Kennedy had been killed.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a pretty vivid memory.
Let's see. What shaped your opinions about these presidents at the time? And since how you relevated the way you rate them?
The way I rated them?
How you relevated them? Relevated the way you rated them. As in, how you like them, or?
I probably like Kennedy, then Nixon, then LBJ. Probably like Kennedy the best, and then Nixon, and then I didn't really like LBJ. But you got to remember, I was real young back then. I didn't know much about him.
I see.
I wasn't voting. We couldn't vote that young.
Did you have any awareness of the Cold War versus the Soviet Union at the time?
Oh yeah, yeah. We had my grandma had a bomb shelter in her basement, and
Ethan.
Hey, Grandpa.
Hey, for your information, Kennedy was a loser.
Oh, is that your opinion?
The only reason girls and women liked him because he was good looking.
that's true.
He was absolutely a waste of skin.
But I didn't know anything about him. I mean, I wasn't political at the time. But Grandpa probably knew more about him than I did. My parents were staunch Democrats, and so he was obviously a Democratic president.
Grammie? Hello? Grammie? Grammie? Are you there? Grammie, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but okay. So
Yeah, I dropped the phone.
Oh, that's all right.
So at least we're back.
Yeah.
Of course, now maybe the call has stopped.
That's all right. So were you afraid of at all of the nuclear weapons destroying the world?
Okay, I wasn't, but we had a lot of of, oh shoot, what do I want to call it? Air raid kind of, practices. If there was a bomb or something, we'd get under our desks and that kind of stuff. But I never figured anything would happen. I just didn't think it would.
Okay. Do you explain to me why you were not afraid? Why you weren't afraid of them?
I don't know why, Ethan. I guess I just didn't think. I just figured it was just guys being stupid. I wasn't afraid, I guess. I don't know why. I guess I just figured I might have been a little afraid because we had what was called the site, and it had an atomic reactor out there, and they always said that if the Russians ever came, they would bomb that first. I guess I just didn't think it would really happen. A lot of kids were really scared about it. I don't know, but I don't remember being afraid. A lot of kids were, but I don't remember being afraid.
So let's single news events to you imptimize the 1960s decades.
Well, I think a thing that I really remember is the manned space flights going into space.
You wait a minute.
See, when they went to the moon and when they were trying the space race, I guess that's what you could say. I remember the space race. That was really exciting. Who would get to the moon first and that kind of stuff.
Nice. So what lessons did you learn through the experience of living in the 1960s?
Well, when looking back on it, I think I guess I noticed how much things have changed. You think things will never change when you're growing up. Like what we're doing right now, Ethan. I can see you and you can see me on the phone. Well, that was what do I want to say? That was a story. That was something that would never happen. We never could even imagine it. Talking to each other, seeing your face with somebody when you're talking to them on the phone. So many changes, and that through technology. Probably that technology has probably changed so many things. And that's probably has a lot to do with the space race. Trying to do all that stuff has made it, more possible for things like this to happen. Computers and all that kind of stuff.
Nice. So what advice would you share with young people today? If you were to give us advice about the 1960s, what advice would you share?
Well, there's always a lot of scary talk in the news about this is going to happen, that's going to happen. But in looking back over 50 years, all those scary things didn't happen. Yes, we've had wars and stuff, but people keep on keeping on. They just keep on doing what needs to be done. And yes, we have scary times and everything, but things work out.
Nice.
I mean, I didn't know 50 years ago that I'd be sitting here talking to you and seeing you right, and while we're on the phone.
That was nice.
Hey, do you need anything else?
No, I did not. That will be all.
Well, dang, I wanted to tell you about the fact that your grandpa and I got married in 1969, and that was a real momentous occasion for me in the 60s.
Hey,
So that kind of changed my life. And I was going to tell you about 19-cent hamburgers. There's Arctic Circle sold hamburgers for 19 cents.
they did.
Yeah, that was pretty momentous. And the Beatles and Deeg reminded me of something. We used to wear bell-bottom pants. But that doesn't have a lot to do with the space race and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so the 60s had a lot of good music and a lot of crummy music.
Nice. Did you know any of your friends from the Beatles?
Now say that again. What?
Did you have any friends that were that played in the Beatles?
Oh, no. The Beatles were from England, Great Britain, and that. So no, I didn't have any. Nobody knew the Beatles. You know, they had tons of people that liked them, but no, I didn't have any friends that were in the Beatles. So no. So, but anyway, well, if you think of something else, are you sure there's nothing else that you need?
No, there's not.
Okay. Well, trying to think. Anything else I need to tell you?
Nope, there's nothing else you need to tell me.
Okay.
I'm just enjoying the regular conversation with you right now.
Okay. So, how long of a report do you have to have written? How long does your paper have to?
I just have to answer these questions. So I just have to have you answer these questions. That's all.
Oh. Well, you can always email me if you need if you need me to write anything else.
Okay. I'll try to remember that.
Okay. So, well, are we done then?
Yep.
Okay. Well, when's your paper due?
Oh, it's due when I get back on Tuesday.
Oh, when you go back oh, that's right. You don't have school on Monday, huh?
Yeah.
I see. Well, that's good. Well, that gives you time to write it then. So that's why I say if you think of something else, you can just have your folks, your dad knows my email address. If you don't, we have a couple. You can always just email me and I can send you some more information. If there's any other questions you think of, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Well, I love you. Thanks for asking me.
I love you too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Good luck. See you, sweetheart.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'll make sure you push stop on that or whatever you're supposed to do so it quits recording.
All right.